No is one of the most powerful words in any industry, but definitely in my industry.
And life.
In life, people, we would be greatly served at stopping things and knowing when it's over. Sometimes you don't need to learn a whole lot of new things. You need to stop doing the things you need to stop doing. Like your life will change. It'd be like, you'll stop eating that, doing that, seeing that, going there, smoking that, drinking that. You can change your life overnight. Learning to say no to roles that would have boxed me in. I'm here with Dr. Natasha, and we are staying unboxed and fearless.
You know, when I started this journey, unboxed and fearless, I thought about times when I was on the journey of life feeling boxed as a nurse practitioner, as a mother, as a wife, always being told to stay in your lane. But at this season in life, I understand true success is walking in your purpose and also growing on that journey and performing and functioning in ways that is different from the opinions that others have set on you, which leads us into my guest today. I am here to introduce Mr. Alimi Ballard. So excited to have him here. And I've watched him over the years, especially connecting with him with one of his movie premieres. It's been amazing to watch. But as we know, he has an amazing 3 decades on film. You've watched him bring depth and authenticity to every role, from being on Loving, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Numbers, Queen Sugar, Queen of the South. So that's just to name a few of the things that he's been involved with, the projects. But not only do I respect what he's done in the entertainment sector, I mostly respect the man that he is, the human being that he is, the father, the Black love that he's displayed over the years. It's been amazing to watch. But here's what the conversation is most important about. Behind every person's career, we have to understand there's been a journey. How did they get to the point they're at now? It can look like glitz and glamour, but what really happened to shape the person over the years, the journey, the resilience, and what is God's given purpose for you? So let's introduce, and I'll call you Mr. Ali.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Natasha.
I am so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
I mean, I think you're an amazing human being.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind. And I appreciate that.
Entertainment, we need to start humanizing people more.
Yeah.
Obviously, being on the television screen, you're held at a higher standard. But what has that journey been for you? You've been in the entertainment industry for over 3 decades.
Frankly, it's an honor. You know, New York City kid from the Bronx, woo woo, and to at a young age, relatively like around 16, discover the arts as empowerment at a community arts center called Mind Builders Creative Arts Center in the Bronx, still there. My alma mater, and that place, I walked into the doors of that place at the age of 16, and it changed my life. It changed the trajectory of my life, and I discovered the arts. And I also discovered that there was a place outside of my own home that, you know, were adults that cared about young people. It was a New York City kid, you know, and it was a safe place. So I was most attracted to it being safe. And kids understand safety. You also understand when things are not safe.
True.
You're right. And I like the people that I thought they were like oatmeal people. They wanted to hug us. I was like, stop touching me, man. But once we got over that, they were solid people. They just had a different vibe to them. They were trying to cultivate something in us. Mm-hmm. And I stayed because I felt safe, and it was a good place to be after school. And then I fell in love with acting. And I was on a stage, auditorium full of 8th graders in New York City. And I walked on stage one time, and I was like, I have my lines like, yo, my name is Wise, the MC, or something like that. And the whole auditorium, 8th graders went quiet. And I was like, I had never had that many people pay attention to me for anything. Usually people pay attention when you do something bad, you know what I mean? Not for something good, you know? Okay. And I was like, and you could feel it was tangible. And I was like, I have never forgotten that feeling. And then the play went on, and I realized that you could do something that people respond to, that you could feel the kids can. And I was not, I was, I was a few years older than them, but I could feel that there was a connection there, and like, oh my God, they're receiving everything I'm saying and doing. And it changed my life.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm always curious to know how did people get introduced
Mm-hmm.
to the entertainment because obviously we had some amazing shows growing
Yes.
up on television and just inspired by what were some of your television shows you were inspired by? For me, growing up seeing the Crosbys and
Right.
I'm just like and watching a different world, like how could you
Yeah.
not be inspired by that and also see the greatness of people from the Black community, what we can achieve, right, and accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, yes. As a kid, I didn't see it like, like the Black community is doing great. Like I was like, I didn't see it that way. It was so awkward. Like I'm surprised that I'm an artist. Like that caught me off guard. Like a lot of things
Really?
caught me. Yeah, I was never. I'm from the Bronx. We're from the Northeast Bronx. I'm from Little Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? So there was no artist that I knew of.
Mm,
Period. Nobody in my family that I knew of. That people had talent, but no one, and in that industry as a musician, like that way that I could touch, excuse me, so to speak, I could look at it and see, and so it hit me off guard. So I watched a lot of TV as a kid, and one of my favorite TV shows is going to tell my age. Is called Spencer for Hire. Avery Brooks and Robert Ulrich. I think it's ABC or something like that. And I remember when this young African American actor guest starred on the show. 'Cause I didn't even know that term guest star. What that mean? I know that means now, right? They're like in one or two episodes. So this young guy that's one of the first people that looked just like me and felt like me did an episode on Spencer for Hire, and that actor is Kadeem Hardison, right? A Different
right.
World. And I was like, that's the first person that felt like me. I was like, oh, because the Cosby Show was on already, and Malcolm Jamal Warner, God rest my brother. So turned out, to be a good close friend of mine in real life. As life will, as the fates will have it, that it's my brother in spirit, man, and love you. and I watched him too. Like I couldn't relate to the world as much, but I always loved how dignified that show was, how they represented people of color, working class people who've done well, and but I saw Kadeem on Spencer for Hire, and I was like, oh my God, that dude is good. He reminds me of me, I'm more edgy, and then A Different World came on, of course, after the Cosby Show. I was like, oh, that was the kid from that one episode of Spencer for Hire.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was little bits like that it was always performances that stuck out.
Right.
And there was another TV show, which will date me again, called Moonlighting with Sybil Shepherd and Bruce Willis.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to watch, and Mom, I'm sorry for watching so much TV, but I watched Miami Vice as a kid. And it was a dude that guest starred on Miami Vice called, it was Bruce Willis. He played an arms dealer. And he was so great. I remember so I've always been moved by, I think, strong performances before I knew that art was a calling for me. And then when I saw Moonlighting come on, I was like, that's the guy that was on that one episode of Miami Vice. And then it just, then I found Mind Builders Creative Arts Center, and then I got enrolled in what it would be like to maybe have a life like that.
Wow. So you started in the 1990s?
Oh, yes.
Was it around 1993?
I started in theater a couple of years before that in the Bronx.
Okay.
And then 1993 was my first big job
Okay.
on Loving on ABC, playing Frankie Hubbard, Angie and Jesse's son on Loving ABC. And that really was, the beginning of going to be a life in TV.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
So I was going to ask you, you played Frankie Hubbard.
Yes. Yeah.
On daytime TV's most iconic super couples,
Oh my
Jesse and
God.
Angie.
Yeah.
What was it like stepping into a legacy role, right? Would
Yeah.
you say that?
Yes.
As a young actor, and what did that teach you about the weight of representation?
The best way I can answer that is it was a humble ride, a humble initiation, because I was working underneath Debbie Morgan, who was like Bruce Lee. You talking about one of the baddest actors to ever lace up Converse and go. She is one of the most underrated actors I have ever. Remember Moselle and not Devil. What's the thing she did with Sam Jackson? Eve's Bayou.
Mm,
Moselle and Eve's Bayou, played by Debbie Morgan.
yeah.
Phenomenal. But I got there and I didn't watch soaps so much. Of course, and grandma watched soaps, your aunties watched soaps.
I grew up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you know, so,
Days of Our
right.
Lives
Days
and
of
All
like, you
My
know,
Children.
General Hospital, you know what I mean? All My Children, you know, which is Loving is an offshoot of All My Children. And so when you daytime television, you learn a script every day. I'm coming from theater. So you work on one script for 3 months till you get the show right. Every day, you come in the morning, there's your script, you rehearse it, you learn your lines, and you perform that day. And each day is a new script. So I didn't know the workload of memorizing lines. And that made me really good at memorizing a lot of lines fast. Because baby boy, you've been hired. You know what I mean? And it was like the biggest thing in my life. I didn't have a lot of friends on TV. That's when I met Dondre Whitfield for the first time. He was on All My Children and he was like, yo, what's up? So we started hanging out and I became friends back then. And I had to step into a world of following. So I had to follow and, to be better honest, try to keep up with the
Yeah.
great Debbie Morgan.
Wow.
And so I watched her, I studied her, and I said, it may be one day if I apply myself, I can be maybe that fluid. I'm still working on that.
You said it's a
Yeah.
lifelong journey.
Yeah, that to be that great, to be that fluid, I'm still working on it.
So, what was a moment where you felt like the industry was trying to box you in?
Oh, you know,
And how did you fight against that?
yeah. It's no. No is a powerful word, and no is one of the most powerful words in any industry, but definitely in my industry.
And life.
In life,
And life.
people like people are good at starting things. People. It would be good. We would be greatly served at stopping things and knowing when it's over. Stop doing that. Sometimes you don't need to learn a whole lot of new things. You need to stop doing the things you need to stop doing. Okay? Like your life will change. You'd be like, you'll stop eating that, doing that, seeing that, going there, smoking that, drinking that. You can change your life overnight. And so I stretch it a little bit, but learning to say no to roles that would have boxed me in. So I said no to everything that I think would embarrass my mom.
Mm.
And I'll get into that later. And quote unquote, but it's as hard as that, embarrass my people. And that's a personal thing. That's just Alimi Ballard.
Well, give me some examples. I'm a visual person.
Oh God, like if you play, I never was in the script that called my character a bunch of N-words, right?
Okay.
Like on a racial level, like unless there was a proper meaning for that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? If you're in the script, you know what I mean? You got to make sure that, if you're the only person of color in the script, please don't be the drug addict criminal. It has to serve a purpose,
Okay.
when you're boxed into like perpetuating a stereotype. I mean, you can be a criminal. I've played criminals before and that's great. I mean, I love The Godfather. They're all criminals, right? So but you have to make sure that what you're doing is not stereotyped, and that's going to be per script, per moment. And so, and then above that, I know my mom's sensibilities because I started as a teenager, so I knew my mom. And a lot of people if you start early, your parents are like, "What is that, Junior? What role is that?" A lot of my friends are West Indians, so like, nah, we're not like that, So you have to make sure that, not make sure, as I've matured, it's a joy to have your parents proud of you.
Exactly.
It is a joy. My mom's single parent, Black woman, raised me and my sisters, and I found and I still find great joy in her being proud of what I do.
And how do you feel about some of the television shows that are highlighting some of the, crime in the inner cities? Do you feel like it's just art, it's just entertainment? What are your thoughts about it? I mean, you've played on several different
Yeah.
shows as well.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about it and the direction it's going into?
So the best way for me to answer that is like on a societal level, like as a society, and I don't mean to be a big commentary on it being an American, but I'm American, I'm from New York, and so we love violence. Americans, we don't, anything, someone gets stabbed in the chest on the show, your kids can watch that. But if two people kiss, you got to hide the kid's eyes. Like
That's
that's
interesting.
yeah, that's a propensity for violence.
Yeah.
And globally we're known for that. We don't mind fighting as a country. Our sensibilities. That five, AK-47, whatever, Rambo, shooting, killing, like one kiss too long, a pair of boobs, a butt cheek, and then all of a sudden your sensors are on you. So you look at that, and you got to know how your society is set up. What do you guys have an affinity for? What do you not have an affinity for? And for us as Americans, we A1 with violence. That don't bother us at all. And I watched a lot of violent things as a kid. Mike, I have kids, right? And so, like, when you watch, I don't know what it is, a generational change, but they not about all that violence. You know what I mean? Like, murder shows. People go into there's a joke. Like,
I think it's just different.
You think it's different?
Yeah, I think they're still about violence, but it's more reality show violence now.
Okay.
Fighting.
All right. Mines didn't like that. They were like, getting beat up in the head, slashing the girl's throat and ripping off her. My kids was like, I was like, y'all don't like that? I had to like it as a parent. I was like, oh, it's too violent. Oh, okay. Baby, they don't like this.
Oh,
and
okay.
I couldn't, we come up from like, my generation. It was just kung fu fighting, killing, shooting. But you're conditioned a certain way. And I couldn't tell if it was just a generational thing, But what I find in American cinema and American, aesthetics is that we don't mind violence.
That's interesting. That's a different perspective. I remember traveling to Dubai and just having a conversation with one of the locals, asking if they were excited to perhaps one day visit the States. And he was not impressed at all.
Yeah.
He said, I don't want to visit.
You're not Dubai. They're not going to try to come over here.
Like, you guys just walk up the street shooting each other. He really thought, because of the television shows, because what else could he go by if he's never, physically been here himself to experience it? He thinks we openly shoot at each other.
And there's a lot of evidence to support that, which is wow,
But it's not to that extent. Like, when you traveled here today, you didn't think you were going to get a bullet to the head.
I really did
or
not.
You didn't think I was going to attack you.
No.
So it was hyper,
right.
Sensitive to the idea of the violence that happens here.
Yeah.
But I just think that it was, and he conjured up other things to accompany. I'm not.
No, I know.
The violence. I'm just saying it's not.
I don't have a graph in front of me, but the
level.
numbers of mass shootings in our country, no other country on God's green, blue, brown earth experiences the number of mass shootings. That's not the move. That ain't the look.
It's not okay.
And it's like double, triple. It's obscene. We're so used to it. I'm from New York. I grew up in a, violent area, whatever you want to call it, inner city, so it was tough. I didn't grow up in the sticks where it was just like, you could leave your door open. You could not leave your door open on White Plains Road in Gun Hill. You just couldn't do that.
Detroit.
The fam. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just couldn't do that.
You like that door?
The fam. I lock windows. I was like, it's ingrained in you. But that's actually, I wouldn't call normal. I don't know if that's how humans are supposed to come up. I think there's a different world that we could have. I didn't have it, but it's a world that we can give to our kids, to the future generation, where, our stats match maybe every other country on planet Earth, where that's not expected. We expected, when's the next shooting? It's probably whatever.
All right, we're desensitized
yes,
in many ways.
Very much. We're conditioned.
At alarming rates.
You don't see it sometimes until you travel out and you hear what movie posters are made.
Experience. And I was so appalled because it made me think about how I view where I live and how I grew up. I grew up in the inner city in Detroit. And so
the D.
And that's true. And when you're an international traveler, you are also confronted with some of those conversations, and it makes you realize how desensitized you are.
Yeah. Yes. And I only really, Doctor, Doc, I'm gonna call you Doc if you don't mind. Doc.
Yeah.
When I had kids, that's the first time I was like, oh, wait a minute,
Something.
maybe I'm the problem. Not in the bad, I'm a great dad, but like maybe some of my sensibilities or my conditionings are maybe not compatible with a brand new life. God's an angel comes through in human flesh, and maybe the rough and tumble nature, or I'm gonna put you in a headlock, we're gonna wrestle it out. But like kids be like, I don't want to wrestle with you. You be like, oh, right. That's how, right. You go, okay. They don't want to be ingrained into that type of manhandling, which I felt was just customary, and
definitely.
prepare you for. My kids are from Sherman Oaks. They're like, so what war are you preparing me for? Like, Studio City.
There's
Like,
nothing happening around
what's
here.
happening? Like, man, when was the last? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think I've lived in the valley for 30 years. Like, the last shooting, I was like, there was like one, like in the areas that the kids. So like, they don't need that, ready for battlefield warfare, psychological indoctrination. Which, if you are in that environment, you gotta get your head on a swivel.
Yeah, I think we have to prepare them differently.
Yes.
What's happening politically,
Yes.
we obviously have to prepare them differently
Yeah.
now. So that's a different conversation for a
Oh yeah, I
different
know. I went all the
day.
way down. I answered it. I went down the street the far ways. Pardon me.
So I want to talk to you about something deeply personal that you and your wife have been incredibly brave about.
All right.
I know you guys were on Black Love,
Yes.
and I just have so much respect for you both because I
Thank you.
know when you're transparent, that comes with a level of vulnerability.
Right.
And you two spoke about your child, a transgender
Yes.
child, and you just spoke about that journey and evolving as parents because that's never ending as well. Even when your children are grow to be adults, we always call them children, adult children.
My mama still call me kid, son. Yes, ma'am.
So tell me what that journey was for you. And I'm asking you that from a mother as well that have similar challenges.
Yeah.
I have children, bonus children that I've
Amen.
taken in to care for because God placed that on my journey.
Yes.
And so I have similar
Yeah.
situations within the family household. And when I saw you, discussing that, but prior to you even being on that show,
Yes.
you highlighted that. And that resonated with me. And I thought, he's going through similar challenges. And he's going through this parenting journey where you have to pivot and you have to learn things over and grace. But God gives us grace. And we all
Yes.
fall short of the grace of God.
Yes.
However,
Yes.
we get that opportunity every day to try again and learn and approach it differently. So tell me how that journey has been for you.
We don't have enough time
I know.
to go through, the full of it. I will say this, and I'll speak on it, of course. It has been beautiful. Sometimes the universe, God, or, wherever your spiritual background is, will stretch you in ways that you're not expecting. You know what I mean? And you'd be like, this is part of my journey, fam. Yes, it is. I sent it to you. This is for you to walk, and it's so far out of, my being prepared for, you know what I mean? And, I'll start in a funny, like, like I wasn't even big on having kids. My wife was like, we having kids. I was like, I hope so. She was like, no. If we can't have them, we adopt. And she's like, oh, okay, fam. You like that. You gang with it. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? It's just
definitely.
like, we having kids. I'm like, all right, cool. So you have kids, and then I say this to show how my life has been, parts of it have been unexpected. You know what I mean? I've been an uncle since I was 9. So I was not unaccustomed to kids. I've been changing Pampers and, bottling kids since I was 9. So kids weren't like, oh my God, Brent. I'm like, nah, I've been doing it since I was 9. I'm straight. I'm the youngest. I got sisters. My nephew was born when I was 9. So I'm good with kids. I can take your kid. I could change Pampers right now. I'm solid in this. So it wasn't like, oh, something I got to discover, what I mean?
Right.
But my wife was like, we having some kids, fam. I'm like, all right, fam. You want them. And then the kids come and I'm like, my heart chakra, whatever you want to call it. It was like, it changed me fundamentally. in a way that was like, to make an analogy, it's like, say, you got the lights on in one room, and then that by a scale or by degree, it's like a stadium worth of light, worth of love, and an expansion. I was like, what is this feeling in my heart? And it goes wide, because you start caring about everyone once you open up that door for yourself. So you start caring about the bees, like, because you're gonna die and there ain't gonna be no trees for your kid and the other kids. Oh my God, we gotta get the whales. Okay, what's going on with the humpback whale? Like, you're not even living for yourself no more. You into ancient teachings of being a custodian of God's earth, because you passing it on. You can't even own nothing. It's the only possession God gave you, and you dropping that when you leave here, fam.
You are.
So ain't nobody taking it with them. So you're like, okay, it fundamentally changed me to open, for me to see human life differently. And I was already a decent guy, but it shifted me. And the second one was born. I was like, oh my God, it's over. The pimp is dead. I can't be a pimp no more. Like, my dreams of like club life was dead. I'm like, oh man, I was gonna return to the streets. Yeah, that second kid, you'd be like, it's a lifestyle now, man. Like, it's over, Negro. You forever a dad.
Oh,
You gonna be
man.
locked in, because the second one comes just as lovely as the first one. I'm just like, and then you just like, all your going out clothes go away. I was so,
It's over.
yeah, you in the best kind of way. Because one, you're like, maybe there's some club is over there. That first, the second, you good. You're going to be in the house if you're going to do that job.
Yeah. That part.
I met my dad when I was 20, so he wasn't present for it. But if you're going to do that job, I mean, and for any number of reasons, it's not a demarcation on anyone who can't be there. Some people can't be there. Life just changes that space for them. But if you are going to be there, if that's a space for your life, you want to show up. And they came, and like my heart opened that I'm going to show up. So the eldest, one day it's like, wanted to have this talk with us, back to what you were asking about. But I was sharing that as a precursor for how you open up, like, from your limited, the way you were raised, and it was good. But like, there's more. There's more than just what you know. You don't know everything. You haven't learned everything yet, so stay a student. Yeah. And my kid came to me. I thought they was going to talk that they was gay. I was like, oh yeah, I was ready for that. I'm like, we good. I was like, that's not going to change your life in any significant way. You love that person. Well, cool. Enjoy yourself. My kid was like, hey, listen, trans, such and such. And I was just like, I was shook, because I didn't have a frame of reference. I just didn't know, what that meant. And it set me on a journey, and of course, like I've said it a million times, accepting my kids, however they come. That's the way I understand parenthood is, God gave them to me to watch over, without me getting all emotional, to watch over as best I can until the last breath is out of me. Period. And then I'm going to hover over these fools like a bad habit, until they leave this place, because the job is not over until they're done. Like, with a full heart, with all of me. So I'm loving you. So just tell me what's going on.
I know, sir.
Can nobody get in the way of that? Nothing. I understand that. I don't need no intermediary to know that the Great Spirit brought you through me and your mother, and I am here to assist you in any way I can and in every way I can. And so the journey was like, okay, so what's this trans thing mean, homie? Talk to me, dog. So I called up everybody I knew who knew about the subject, did a lot of research. As I was doing the research and trying to understand, what was, what my son communicated to me, I was, doing research about what it means, his background, and everything was kind of like making clinical sense, but I'm such a soul person. I just couldn't grasp it here, like what it meant in here. I didn't know this about me, the artist, the energy person. It almost doesn't even matter what you're saying. It only matters how you feel. I'll be looking at people like, people be talking all day. What's going on? What's that energy? Listen to you. What's the spirit saying? And I just couldn't grasp the concept of it, like it was just a psychological thing. And then my buddy in Atlanta, Mark Sterling. Mark, I appreciate you, brother. I'm gonna love you forever. Behind that, he had sent me this article a year ago about the Native Americans' understanding about the human spirit. and it was called Two Spirits. You know what I mean? One, I forgot the name of the article, but it's called Two. The terminology that the country that that we live in, the land here, the people who who cared for this land for thousands of years. They were here before their colonial visit, right. Pre-colonial contact. You know what I mean? What did humans understand about the human spirit before colonial contact? And the Native Americans, and that's not even the proper terminology, the indigenous people of this place where America has been established, they understand there was plural genders. And I was like, tell me about that, and that is what really opened me up to be like, okay, basically a lot of our background, if you're American, I'm from New York, your background is Christian Judeo. That's how you understand the spiritual world. You see God through the lens you were taught.
There you go.
And so there's human history that predates both of those faiths. And so what do the people of Earth understand about the spirit, about the human soul? You know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, the Native Americans had, 5 genders, you know what I mean? And they understood that most, you're male, most of the time your spirit is male. It matches up, female. And sometimes it was like your energy, spirit, your spirit was more male in that body that was female, gender wise, biologically. And then sometimes it was, it would move around. So they didn't, and I'm not an expert on how their world worked, right. But what the research, you were assigned, your role in society based on your spirit. What is your soul? Because their identification wasn't outside in. And that's what I love indigenous people. You're a soul first. You have a body. You don't have a soul. You are a soul. You have a body. And you only have this temporarily.
That's true.
Oh, facts. Big facts. And so they did their best to understand what was the soul saying, and they assigned your role based off that, from the inside out, not the outside in. And I was like, I could dig that.
That's deep, and I could imagine how important that was on your journey.
Yes.
When you're trying to figure out how to support
yes
that transition or that process.
Yes.
And as a provider, I know whenever someone has something in life, even if it's mental health, if it's gender identification, it affects the entire unit, the family unit, not just that person.
Yes.
The parents, the marriage.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
It can.
So, whew,
no,
because I could understand how that could have been. How did you keep that support and also keep your own mental health? Because you have to process this. You have to mentally digest something first to be able to prepare yourself to say, I have to now be able to address this and be there for your not only for your child, but your spouse.
Yes. And my youngest son,
the entire family unit.
My mom, my sisters. You are a part of a tribe. You're part of a community, and everyone is affected. That's tied in. People on the outside just like, oh, hey, I heard something happen with your kid. They don't know what's going on. But people that are part of your community, your intimate community, I got homies. They're like, fam, dog, Ali, talk to me. What's going on? And you really share what you understand, And it was like 2 years. Like I said, and I'll say it forever, acceptance, there's no question about acceptance. If you got superpowers, if you can fly, holla at your boy. Let me know what's going on. If you can turn water to wine, holla at me. I can't do that. Tell me about that. If you got lupus, tell me about that. People come with all kind of things. When you dream, you go to another universe, you talk to angels, holla. I don't do none of that, but talk to me about it. I'm here to support. I'm your coach. I'm like, this is the only way I can see it, is I'm here to rock with you and love you beyond. And so once you get that, you'll understand that if you grew up in a world where a world where the earth is flat, and the sun revolves around the earth. This is the established thinking of the day. Earth is flat, and the sun orbits around the earth, and so do the planets. And then you discover the ancient Egyptian tablets to be like, okay, so hold on, hold my beer. So it's not flat. And ain't nothing revolving around the earth. We spin, first of all. We revolve around the sun with a whole bunch of other planets. And on top of that, it's going to really floop your noodle. The whole solar system is in a Milky Way galaxy. We ain't the center of nothing. And sometimes when you introduce a more comprehensive thought to the world, you are attacked most of the time. The little germs. What do you mean talking about? Every time a discovery, like, what do you mean people get sick from little microscopic organisms? The first dude that did that got put in prison, loony bin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you are introducing a true concept, a bigger concept, more comprehensive to how it all works. And there's resistance. So once, once I got a hold of the Native American and then other indigenous peoples, pre-colonial contact, share like an understanding of people, because humans have been around for a minute, looking at other humans, building societies and figuring out how all the people fit into society harmoniously. Woo! I'm gonna back it up. I'm gonna back that one up. How all of the peoples fit into society harmoniously, how everyone has a place of value and they bring something to the table and they don't try to homogenize people and cut out, you know what I'm saying, what doesn't fit, a strict script. Oh, and that opened me up to learn, and maybe I didn't know everything just yet.
I must say, to hear you explain it that way
Mm-hmm.
and describe it that way is beautiful, because it allows you to actually not be guarded. I think when people have these conversations, they enter the conversation guarded, or however they were raised, whatever beliefs, thoughts, all of those things, because it helps you, shape your perceptions of whatever topics. But it is just a beautiful way of acceptance and showing the love that you have for your child.
Oh yeah.
And
big
as
time.
parents,
Yeah.
I think it's important, especially I feel like parents like us, where we would try to move heaven and earth.
Yeah.
To
like real, like bleed for real. Not even metaphorical.
Protect.
Give your whole human life to protect.
And
mean it.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary. And the way you also explain the transition of parenthood, because when I met my husband, he had no children.
Yes.
And he was okay with that.
Yeah.
I knew I had a child.
Right.
I knew that I never wanted to be the person that would rob him of that experience.
Okay.
Because I knew, based on conversations, it was something that he desired.
Yeah.
And he was going to take that off the table because he wanted to pursue a life with me.
All right.
But that transition that you explained were the words I tried to convey to him. It's a different type of love when you become a parent. The words that you gather still does not do it any justice. In that you gathered some very powerful words. Yeah. And I think you did a great job with your paintbrush to convey the emotions and the processes that you go through.
Yes.
That love is
biggest force in the universe. It's the biggest force in the universe. It moves the stars. I'm sure it puts them in orbit. It's what we can speak as humans is probably trillionth percent of how powerful it is, and what it does.